So, let us chant the first 10 verses of chapter 9. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyam hyanasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajñatva mokshyase shubhat raja vidya raja guhyam pavitramidamuttamam pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam ashraddhadana purushaha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapyaman nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani maya tadamhitam sarvam jagatavyakthamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha nacha matstani bhutani pashyame yogamaishvaram bhuta bhrana cha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha yata kashastito nityam bahyo sarvatra go mahan tata sarvani bhutani mastani tyupadharaya sarvabhutani kauteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrajamyaham prakritim swamavashtabhya visrajami punah punaha bhutagramamimam krishnam apasham prakrite vashat nacha mantani karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya udasena vadasenam asaktam teshu karmasu mayadhyakshena prakritihi suhyate sacharacharam hetunanena kauteya jagat viparivartate.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti. We were studying verse number 6. Do we have those questions? Yeah, okay. Okay. The first question. in the context of God, God versus world or Satya versus Mithya. If the world is Mithya, why do Shastras exist? Why do we need to follow it for our living? Is the guidance by Shastras meant for realizing Brahman? And due to our ignorance, are we holding on to the Shastras literally without understanding the purpose? Because our elders often say that we need to follow Shastras regardless of our understanding. So, will the realization happen automatically over a period of time regardless of our understanding? This is question number 1. A very long question. So many questions that she is asking in one question. In the context of God versus world, Satya and Mithya. If world is Mithya, why do Shastras exist? It is the Shastra that is telling you that the world is Mithya. So the Shastras exist in order to say what the reality is. Why do we need to follow it for our living? We need to follow it for our living because though it is Mithya, your experiences doesn't teach you that it is Mithya. You believe that it is Satya. As long as you believe that the world is real, as long as you believe that there is a problem and you have to sort your problem out, there are so many things that you got to do in this life, Mithya is not applicable to you. You have to follow the Shastra. Is the guidance by Shastras meant for realizing Brahman? Yes, it is meant for realizing Brahman. Due to our ignorance, are we holding on to the Shastras literally without understanding the purpose? Next question. Due to our ignorance, are we holding on to the Shastras literally without understanding the purpose? Yes. Most of the time, we hold on to the words literally. We hold on to the words literally. We hold on to the mechanical practices literally without understanding. Therefore, there is no transformation. Practice alone will not bring a transformation. It is understanding that brings a transformation. Then what is the connection between practice and understanding? Why can't we straight away understand? Practice means action. Any number of times we have seen this. Does understanding comes first or action comes first? What comes first? Do you wait for understanding to start acting, or you start acting so that you can understand? There are two schools of, these are the two fundamental ways of thinking. One says you have to understand first, then action will automatically follow. Another thing is you can't wait for understanding and all to happen. You have to start acting first. So of the two, what do we take? Do we take action or do we take understanding? Practically speaking, action is very conducive for understanding. Therefore, it is better always to start with action, and then by questioning the action, you are ready for understanding, and then you mature. Therefore, better is to start with action. Understanding requires a lot of repetition. Remember this. You understand, as soon as you understand, the other side of it is you forget also. Understanding doesn't mean you remember it forever. You understand and then automatically you forget also. Therefore, understanding is of no use, repetition. That's why, take the simple example. in this Vedanta classes, the same thing is repeated again and again and again, no? Repetition. Two kinds of repetition is done. The same words will be repeated. The same ideas will be repeated using different words. So two kinds of repetition. Are you able to follow? There are two. One is you repeat the same words. Sometimes we repeat the same. We repeat the same words is repeated. Nirguno, Nishkriyo, Nityo, Nirvikalpo, Niranjanaha, Nirvikaro, Nirakaro, Nityamukto, Osmi Nirmalaha. All this is repeating the same words. So sometimes the same words are repeated. Sometimes the word is not repeated, but through various words, the same idea is repeated. But nevertheless, repetition. That's where people get very bored. They say, we know it, no. Why are you repeating it? Why are you repeating it again and again and again? We know it already. We know it already. Why are you repeating it again and again and again? For this, you got to understand this. When something is repeated, carefully follow. When something is repeated, you feel familiar. Just because you are familiar doesn't mean you have understood it. Understand these differences. These are all very simple differences, but makes a lot of clarity. When something is repeated, you feel familiar. Just because it is familiar doesn't mean you have understood. Especially those who read the books or those who do the 3-year course, there is a common observation. Why is he repeating the same thing again and again and again? And they also tell me that your classes are better, sir. At least I'm not repeating it. At least you say new things over every week. You come up with a new story. He doesn't do that. So it's the same thing that is repeated again and again and again. Mala. Seriya? And you write a letter also, isn't it? Why? When something is repeated, it is familiar. Familiar is one thing, but understanding is different. That is why people always say it one time is sufficient. No. Or what is soltu utrungo? Porada. Why can't you just say it once and just leave it at that? Ganesh, are you able to follow? Why are you repeating it again and again and again? Registration requires repetition. Understanding doesn't require repetition. But in understanding, the possibility is not possibility. Most of the time, what happens? You forget. Therefore, understanding is not enough. Registration is important. When we say understanding means as we are talking, because it is in the same language you understand. Unless it is repeated so many times, it will not register. When it is registered at the time you need it, it will be available to you. The knowledge that you have gained must be available to you when you need it the most. When it will be available to you when you need it the most? When it is repeated again and again and again. You follow? Shastras, in terms of action, repetition is a practice. You are asked to do it. You are asked to do it again and again and again. When you do something again and again and again, that's where understanding becomes possible. You just do it once and you forget it. It won't help. My mother has been making sambar for the last, 70 years she must be making. I make once in 10 years I make. Every time I make once in 10 years, I have to go and ask all over. I have to start all over again, isn't it? Why? It's not that I don't understand, correct? I understood, but then still it is not available. So the problem of knowledge is what? Understanding is not the problem. Availability of the knowledge when you need it is important. The knowledge must be available when you need it. When it will be available to you? When enough times it is repeated again and again and again. Are you able to follow? Therefore, what the Shastras do, what these Vedantic teachers do, they go on and on and on repeating. That is action. Are you able to follow? Therefore, why do we... So, Shastras, understanding the Shastra is easy. Practicing it means you got to do it. You got to do it again and again and again. So, by repeated doing only, you understand it better. Are you able to follow? Therefore, should we just read, understand and leave it, or go over it? Go over it again and again and again. Repetition. You follow? Is action important or knowing important? Action is conducive environment for knowing. Action is very conducive for knowing. If you don't act, knowing becomes very, very difficult. This is answering the first set of questions. Second question. If I call the world as Mithya, I might have the tendency to ignore Shastras. Do they clash with each other? Question number 2. If I call the world as Mithya, I might have the tendency to ignore the Shastras. Do they clash with each other? Answer. If you understand the world as Mithya, you will not ignore the Shastra. You ignore the Shastra only because you don't understand the world as Mithya. Mala, it is exactly the opposite. If you understand the world as Mithya, you wouldn't ignore it. Why? Because that's the only hope that you have to help you get out of it. Why will you ignore it? You are ignoring it, or anybody ignores the Shastras because they don't understand it as Mithya. They will follow? You will not let go of it because you understand that is the only thing that you have to, that's the only pole you have to, that's going to help you to get out. Why will you let go of that pole? Or you ignore it because you don't understand it as Mithya. Therefore, the answer is exactly the opposite. This is answering the next question. Do you have one more question? Mala, is it okay? Reference. Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, verses 4 and 5. In the analogy of light and the object, you said light makes the object available present. Light doesn't need the object. Objects need light. It's difficult to see light directly, but objects existing and seen is proof of light. Meaning, light is dependent on objects to be known or seen. No objects, no existence of light. Why? Because light can't be seen directly without objects. Meaning, experience as Pramanam kind of appears true, real. Then how to keep Shastra as Pramanam? Please help. This is the question. Now, what the question is saying is, in the analogy of light and object, what is seen? Object is seen. Correct? That's not correct. You are not only seeing the object. You are seeing object plus light. There are two things that you are seeing. Your focus is on the object only. Therefore, you say only object. What do you see? You say object. But then, are you factually seeing only an object? No. Two things are there. What are the two things? Light plus the object. Since the focus is on the object, What is ignored or forgotten or missed? The light is missed. That is the comparison. That is the comparison. Second comparison is light cannot be seen per se. Light cannot be seen per se. You need an object to see the light. From this, you can come to an inference that light is dependent on the object to be known. You can come to a conclusion like that. What is the conclusion? That's what you have come to. Light is dependent upon the object for it to be known. What is the fallacy in this thinking? The fallacy in this thinking is it is the instrument that sees the object with the aid of the light. Again, I repeat. The instrument sees the object with the aid of the light. It means if you have to see the light, you need an instrument that is capable of seeing the light. You don't have an instrument that is capable of seeing the light. Therefore, it is the deficiency of the instrument, but not the dependency upon light on object. Are you able to reconcile? Again, I repeat. When you see an object, it is you see the object through an instrument, and that instrument is dependent upon the light. Correct? Huh? The instrument, in order to see something, you need an instrument. Then only you can see it. With what instrument you can see light? With the eyes, you can see objects that is reflected by light. With what instrument you can see light? There is no instrument. Therefore, it is the limitation of the instrument. Are you able to conclude? Therefore, it is the limitation of the instrument and not the problem of the light. Similarly, there is no instrument with which consciousness can be seen. That doesn't make consciousness dependent upon objects and beings. If you say light is dependent upon object, you have to conclude consciousness is dependent upon object. Fallacy. Fallacy. What is a fallacy?
I didn't bring in the instrument alone.
You never brought in the instrument. That is why in every class we bring in the instrument. When we bring in the instrument, that is introverted thinking. When you talk about the object, it is extroverted thinking. That is a fundamental difference between introverted thinking and extroverted thinking. In Vedanta, we talk about introverted thinking. Introverted thinking means what? You bring in the instrument. What is the instrument? What instrument is capable? Which instrument of you is capable of seeing light? There is no instrument. That is why where there is nothing to reflect, you don't see light. It is because of what? It is not because of the absence of light. It is because there is no relevant instrument to see the light. So it is lack of relevance of the instrument. It is a limitation of the instrument, not limitation of light. Are you able to follow? This is the connection.
So light is never dependent on object.
Yes, light is never dependent upon object. How do you say that? The light reveals the presence of the object. The light reveals the absence of the object. Very simple. Light reveals the presence. Light reveals the absence. So that which can reveal the presence or that which can reveal the absence has to be independent of both. Are you able to follow? That's how you understand.
It has to be ever present also.
Yes.
And one more doubt.
Another important factor is right. It has to be ever present. It has to be ever. It is ever present. Only in that ever present light, instrument can register an object. So the light is ever present. Instrument comes and goes. Objects comes and goes. Light is ever present. Are you okay? Yeah.
One more one. But just now you said that the action is conducive for knowing, and that the knowing comes later, doing comes first. In some other class, you said that for the world, the understanding comes first and doing comes next. But for spiritual evolution, action comes first and doing knowing comes later. Is this correct?
Yes.
Or is this how it should be understood?
In reference to Mala's question, the answer that I give the question, I'm repeating the question. In reference to Mala's answer, I made the statement. The statement is understanding or action? Is action or understanding? What comes first? The question itself is like the chicken or the egg, isn't it? Tree or the seed. It is like that because one is so intricately connected to the other that you can never say what comes. You can never say what comes first. But nevertheless, there is a starting point. Nevertheless, there is the starting point. What is the starting point? Action is the starting point. Example, you can wait for the same example we keep repeating again and again and again. You can wait for understanding to happen and then go to school. Or you can go to school because somebody tells you to go to school and then understand the importance later. You follow? Somebody tells you to do something and you do it, and over a period of time, you understand the importance of why you are asked to do, told to do. Another way is what? There is another way also. What is another way? You can wait, understand the importance of education, and then you can start getting educated. When will you understand the importance of education and then start getting educated? By the time you understand education is important, you will be 60, isn't it? What can you do at 60? Are you able to follow? Therefore, in life, you don't have the luxury of understanding everything and then doing. You do it based on Shraddha. That's why it's called Shraddha. Somebody has told you to do, you do it. Over a period of time, you understand. Again, there is something that is implied in this statement that I said now. Over a period of time, you understand means what? Doing will make you to question, and that questioning will make you to understand. Not just to doing by itself, you will not understand. Are you able to follow? See, even to trigger a question to gain knowledge, a command has to be given. When the command is given, then only question comes. When the command is not given, questioning will not come. Isn't it? Do it. Don't do it. You will turn back and ask. Why. Isn't it? So a command has to be given. A command in terms of action has to be given for you to turn back and ask why. Are you able to follow? Therefore, we say action, doing, over a period of time, you understand. When we say over a period of time, you understand means what is implied here is obviously you are questioning what you are. Obviously, you are questioning what you are asked to do. Obviously, you are questioning what you are told to do. Obviously, you are questioning what you are doing. Getting that answer, there is a conviction. Understand. Are you able to follow? This is the These are the answers, correct? Venkatora. Vayu sarvatra go mahan. That is the verse. The verse number 6. Yata akashita nityam vayu sarvatra mahan. Vayu is used as in the sense of mighty, mahan, great, mighty, great, mahan. And always in Shastras, you find so many contexts, the comparison of space and Brahman. Vayu, where the space and Brahman is always compared a lot. Why? Because there are certain common features. So many times we have discussed this. We understand it and we have a tendency to forget. We keep repeating it again and again. What are the common features between Brahman and space? First common feature between Akasha, space and Brahman. The first common feature is pervasiveness, all-pervading. Space is all-pervading, Brahman is all-pervading. Second feature, formlessness. It has no form. It has no form because none of the Jnanendriyas can see space. Therefore, it is formless. Are you able to follow? Formless because Jnanendriyas cannot access, understand. That is the second comparison. The first comparison is all-pervasiveness. The second comparison is formlessness. The third comparison is oneness. There is only one space, oneness. The fourth is it cannot be cut into pieces. The fourth factor is it cannot be cut into pieces. The fifth factor is it accommodates everything but remains detached from everything. These are all the common features between Brahman and space. In this verse, he is using that feature of what? It accommodates Vayu but remains unaffected by Vayu. The great Vayu, the space accommodates but remains unaffected. What is Vayu carrying? Vayu means the wind. We can call it the wind, we can call it the breeze. But what is meant here is the wind that carries the pleasant or the unpleasant odor. It carries the pleasant, it carries the unpleasant. Space supports it, but remains unaffected by the pleasant or unpleasant. If you don't understand this verse 4 and 5 of where I am in the world, I am not in the world, all the stories we studied there, if you don't understand all this, understand it through this example of Vayu. Like Akasha doesn't have any impurity, though it accommodates everything, it is not affected by anything. Similarly, creation comes out of me, creation comes back into me, but the creation coming out of me and the creation merging back into me has no effect on me. This is called Rajavidya, Rajaguhya. Why this chapter is called Rajavidya, Rajaguhya, royal knowledge and royal secret? We will not be able to understand this. That's why this chapter is called Rajaguhya, royal secret, not ordinary secret, royal secret. Royal secret means it is out in the open and still nobody. Secret, if it is covered and kept in it, it's okay. It is out in the open and still nobody will know it. Still nobody can know it. That's why it's called Rajaguhya. How do you understand this Rajaguhya? Beautiful title he gave. This chapter, Rajavidya, Rajaguhya, royal knowledge and royal secret. What is the secret? The world is in me. The world is not in me. I am in the world. I'm in the world, and I'm not in the world. This is the secret. Since this is too much to comprehend, difficult to understand, the example of Vayu is brought in this verse. To explain this through an example. And the example that he gives seems to be more complicated than the example that he gives as Akasha seems to be more complicated than that. It is not complicated because already we have studied Atma Bodha, already we have studied the introductory textbooks and understood the hierarchy of the elements and all that. Since we have already studied and understood all that, when he says, Vayu sarvatra go mahan, tata sarvani bhutani matstani upadharaya, they come. Know it. What you should know? As the mighty wind moving everywhere, Vayu is all pervading. Vayu itself is all pervading, relatively speaking. Fire is not all pervading, water is not all pervading, earth is not all pervading. Vayu is comparatively all pervading. That's why it's called Mahan. That all pervading Vayu is resting ever in all pervading space. How many all pervading things are there now? Vayu is one all pervading. Space is another all pervading, and then Brahman is, and then there is Brahman that is all pervading. The example is more. The example seems to be more confusing, but then it's not confusing. Why? Because we have already studied. What did we study in the Atma Bodha? When we studied, we did this study. We did this comparisons in Atma Bodha. In one of the verses where he uses space as Brahman, we elaborated all the 5 in detail. We can't repeat that now because we have to go to Atma Bodha again. But then the 5 basic points. What are the 5 basic points? It is all pervading. Vyapakam. It's called Vyapakatva. Second is formlessness. Arupam. It has no form. 3. It is one. When we say it is one means you can have water in 3 different containers. You can have fire in 3 different you can have fire in 3 different places. You can't have space in 3 different places. In that sense, it is one. Are you able to follow? You should not ask, sir, water is also one only. No. Earth is also one only. No. You should not be asking all this, isn't it? Why? Because you can have earth in 3 different parts. You can have fire in 3 different places. You can have various types of Vayu, isn't it? From gentle breeze to what? Turbulent, hurricane, I don't know what all it is. So there are in space, you can't do anything with space. You're able to follow? You can't have one space here and you can't, why? You can't have part space and total space. You can't do anything. Therefore, space is Ekatvam, one. 4th one is, it cannot be made into pieces. It's called Akandatvam. Kanda means Kandam paniduvanu solluvaanga Madrasla. There is this word now, Kandam paniduvanu they say. Kandam naka, not that English condemning, not that. Kandam is a Sanskrit word. Yeah. And this Madras Tamil is a very beautiful Tamil, very irritating also. Because Ashaji, lot of Telugu influence in that. Wherever the Telugu influence is there, it's slightly very, very pleasant. Yeah. Very, very. So, Kandam Banduvan, they say. Kandam means I'll break you into pieces. That's what it means. Yeah, Kandam means I'll break you into pieces. Akandam means it cannot be broken into pieces. The fifth one is what? The specific comparison here. What is the fifth comparison? Sangha. Asangatvam. Asangatvam means it will be in it and yet it will not be affected by it. That is asangatvam. That Vayu develops Sangha because it can, if there is a pleasant odor, it will be pleasant. If it is an unpleasant thing, it will be unpleasant. But space doesn't have any of these things. Therefore, space is just as the ever-moving Vayu rests in space. Ever-moving Vayu is connected to the ever-changing world. Ever-moving Vayu, which has good and bad, is connected to the ever-changing world, which is pleasant and unpleasant. Just as the ever-changing world, just as the all-pervading, ever-changing Vayu rests in space, the world, so that all beings rest in me. All beings means the world. The world rests in me. This is verse number 6. And we move on to verse number 7. Verse number 7, particular.
Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim hyanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrajamyaham. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim hyanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrajamyaham.
O Kaunteya, at the end of a kalpa, time cycle, all beings enter my Prakriti, nature. At the beginning of a kalpa, I bring them forth again. O Kaunteya, at the end of a kalpa, all beings enter my Prakriti. At the beginning of a kalpa, I bring them forth again. What are you saying now? The cosmic phenomena of creation and destruction keeps happening. The cosmic phenomena. What is the cosmic phenomena? Creation. And then creation will be necessarily followed by a destruction. So what they do? Creation and destruction, kalpa, time cycle. Kalpa means time cycle. And this time cycle itself is variously described. And the time cycle according to the kalpa is okay, two big numbers, but still you can understand it. A kalpa is the daytime of Lord Brahma. One kalpa means a daytime. Daytime now automatically what will follow? A night time will follow. So 12 hours of daytime and 12 hours of night time. This daytime of Lord Brahma, we can understand it only according to human years. So what do? We bring the daytime of Lord Brahma into the human years understanding. Like when we say, for everything, when we measure, we also say light year, isn't it? How old is the dog? There is a dog at home, there is a pet. And then you ask, how old is it? Senior citizen, sir, isn't it? How old is it? 10 years. 10 human years. But according to the dog, it has lived a very dogged life, isn't it? Not 10 years. It has lived a very dogged life of 70 years. Still not knowing what to, still can't escape from, still can't escape. Isn't it? So the daytime of Brahma is explained to us in the understanding of human years. So what this means? A kalpa is said to be the daytime. Similarly, night covers another kalpa. So there are two things: daytime and night time. Srikant, chumma numbers idella. Illa simply hear it and leave it. Simply numbers idella. A kalpa is said to be 1000 Mahayugas. So, or kalpa equals 1000 Mahayugas. And one Mahayuga comprises of 4 yugas. 1000 Mahayugas put together is 1 kalpa. 1 Mahayuga comprises of 4 yugas. What are the 4 yugas? Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And for each and every yuga, numbers are given. Satya Yuga. Fascinating numbers. 17 crore and odd, 17 crore and odd years is Satya Yuga. Treta Yuga, slightly lesser than that. Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, only relatable numbers comes, isn't it? Dwapara Yuga, 8,64,000 years. 8,64,000 years is Dwapara Yuga. And Krishna died at the end of the Dwapara Yuga. It means that 8,64,000 years got over very recently. And Krishna died about 6,500 years back. It means Dwapara Yuga got over 6,500 years of Kali Yuga. What is Kali Yuga? 4,32,000 years. Of the 4,32,000 years, எவ்வளவு ஆயிருக்குது இது வரைக்கும்? Only 6,500 தான் ஆயிருக்குது. Much more is there. Therefore, a Mahayuga equals what? 43 crores 20,000 terrestrial years is one Mahayuga. Multiplied into 1,000, multiplied by 1,000, what will happen? A Mahayuga is 4.32 billion terrestrial years. புரியவே புரியாது இந்த நம்பர்லாம். So doesn't make, see, after a point, all numbers looks the same beyond a point, because it doesn't make any. What is 4.3 billion terrestrial years? Kaunteya, they come into manifestation for 4.32 billion terrestrial years and goes into unmanifestation for another 4.32 billion terrestrial years. So each and every kalpa is 4.32 plus 4.32 na 8.64. This 8.64 billion terrestrial years cycle keeps happening. Keeps happening. Keeps happening as long as you remain in mithya. As long as you remain in mithya, it keeps happening. That you should not forget. That you should not forget. Don't say this will keep happening again and again and again, as though you get enlightened and go out and this will continue to happen. This 8.64 terrestrial billion terrestrial years keeps happening again and again and again as long as you remain in Mithya. The moment you get out of Mithya, what do you understand? There is no Kalpa, there is no Mahayuga, there is no Yuga, there is no nothing. There is only Brahman. Just as there is only space. Just as there is only space, there is only Brahman. So what is he saying now? In verse number 5, he said, Bhuta Brahna. Important verses. Rest of the time we did not connect. This, what he said as these bhutas, is what is explained in 7 and 8. How they come and how they go. This Bhuta Brahna is what is being explained here. And how it is explained in verse number 7. At the end of a Kalpa, all beings enter my nature. At the beginning of the Kalpa, I bring them forth again. It means I am the cause for creation and I am the cause for destruction. I am the cause for creation because they come out of me. He just slips in a word Prakriti. He just slipped in a word Prakriti. And when you read it, important words we always miss, isn't it? So what do? We miss that important word Prakriti and we read it as what? Oh, Kaunteya, at the end of every Kalpa, they come into me and I bring it out, I fold it back. I bring it out, I fold it back. And what is this Prakriti? This Prakriti is a very detailed, elaborate study, and which we studied in chapter 7, where we discussed about Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. You remember that? At least the chapter you will remember. There is chapter 7. In that chapter 7, there are 2 words. We studied Prakriti, and that Prakriti is divided into Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. So you should remember all that is discussed there. In remembering I don't remember what I said. Therefore, I'm jumping now. So, because of my Prakriti, they come and they come out of me and comes back into me. I bring it out, I take it back. How do I bring it out and take it back? Haven't you seen a spider doing that? Mundakopanishad. Urnanabhihi. Haven't you seen a spider doing that? It brings it out and then takes it back. Like the Urnanabhi does, out of my Prakriti, I bring it out and then I swallow it back. So how do you understand Brahman now? Like they show in the movie, isn't it? The whole sudden, a huge form, and then opens the mouth, something comes out, and then something goes back after a while. Staggering numbers are given to speak about the longevity of it. Staggering numbers are given only to say how long you can keep the mithya alive. That's all. That is the philosophy that you have to derive, not the numbers. We are not interested in the numbers and all that. Staggering numbers means the longevity. What is the longevity? From Yuga to a Mahayuga to Kalpa. All this is my Prakriti. This is verse number 7. Now we will read verse number 8. Verse number 8. Padingu.
Prakritim swamavashtabhya visrijami punah punah bhutagramamimam krishnam avasham prakritir vashat Prakritim swamavashtabhya visrijami punah punah bhutagramamimam krishnam avasham prakritir vashat.
Animating my own Prakriti, I bring forth again and again all this multitude of beings helpless by the force of Prakriti. Again, animating my own Prakriti, I bring forth again and again all this multitude of beings helpless by the force of Prakriti. I am also helpless, he said, isn't it? Helplessly, it keeps coming and going. Vashat, by force, helplessly, it keeps coming again and again and again. Avasham. What is it? Bhuta Gramam. Bhuta Gramam means this multitude. Bhutam means beings. Gramam means, Grama doesn't mean village. It means that also. What it means is where everything live together, where all exist together. Animating my own Prakriti, I bring it again and again and again. Now what is he saying here again? Krishna is saying, Brahman is the source of emanation. When he says Brahman is the source of emanation, Brahman is not making a conscious effort. It is not a conscious effort to bring out. The very nature of Brahman is such that these things keep happening. To one who is ignorant, all that is implied here. When we say all the very nature of Brahman, all this is happening means what? What is implied in all this? To the one who is ignorant, all this is happening. Helplessly again and again and again. Just as the helplessness is to be understood as the vastness. That's the example he gives. Where there is an ocean, the vastest sheet of water, the ocean produces waves. Remember that example he gives, the study? You take water in a spoon, there will not be a wave. You take water in a bucket, there will not be a wave. The moment there is the ocean, there is a wave. So, the moment the vastness is there, in that vastness, certain things rise and certain things, that which, in that vastness, things rise and merge. They emanate and they dissolve. They emanate and they dissolve. What is Prakriti here? Again, he is using the word Prakriti. Prakriti is the potential of non-apprehension is Prakriti. The potential of non-apprehension is Prakriti. Apprehension, non-apprehension, and misapprehension. These are the three stages. Apprehension, non-apprehension, and misapprehension. Go to the same standard example, the rope and the snake. Why can't you give some other examples? Why you have to repeat the same example? Yeah. Because we have already established. don't complain. Why are you repeating? You should not complain. Because therefore, repetition. What is that? Rope and the snake. The snake arising from a rope is an illusion. The snake that comes out of the rope is an illusion. The misapprehension of the snake arises because of the non-apprehension of the rope. The misapprehension of the snake arises because of the non-apprehension of the rope. Correct? When you do not apprehend the rope as a rope, the non-apprehension of the rope becomes the cause for misapprehension. The misapprehensions can be many. It can be a snake. It can be a crack on the earth. You could mistake the rope for a snake. The very presence of the rope has a potential of not understanding the rope as the rope. Supposing if the rope wasn't there, snake wouldn't have arose at all, isn't it? Because snake doesn't come out of thin air, isn't it? For the snake to come, you needed the rope. No. The non-apprehension of the rope created the snake. Okay. Non-apprehension means all those who see the rope, will they see a snake? No. If you apprehend the rope as a rope, there is no problem. Some don't see the rope as the rope and they end up seeing the snake. Now, what is Prakriti? The rope is saying, in me, I can be misunderstood as I am, and you can see me as something else. This is Prakriti of rope. Again, what is Prakriti of rope? Imagine the rope talking. What will the rope say? In me, you may not see me as me, and you can see me as something else. The potential for non-apprehension of the rope is inherent in the rope. Because the non-apprehension of the rope can come from where? The non-apprehension of the rope can come from the rope only. Therefore, the non-understanding of Brahman has to come from Brahman only. Non-understanding cannot come from something else. Can Brahman, being all-knowing, all-knowledgeable, misunderstand? Misunderstand itself? Is it possible? No. It's not possible. Then what is all this? Then what is all this? One word answer. Then what is all this? Maya, Mithya. It is Mithya. It is Mithya. Like the snake projected on a rope, the deluded project this illusory world upon the reality Brahman. Like the ignorant one projected a snake on the rope, the ignorant one projected this world upon Brahman. Just as one did not see the rope as a rope, one does not see Brahman as Brahman. The possibility of non-apprehending Brahman lies in Brahman itself. This is technically called Prakriti. This is what is called, this is technically called Prakriti. The misapprehensions remain, the illusory projections remain as long as you don't see the Brahman. Just as how long will the snake remain? How many yugas will the snake remain? How many yugas?
As long as.
You can't say 1000 Mahayugas or repetitive cycle of Mahayugas. How long will the snake remain? As long as you see it. The moment you understand what a snake can never come out of rope. What is understand? What is seeing rope as a rope means? It's not that you rejected the snake and then converted the snake into rope. Correct? You don't take each and every aspect of snake and say this is rope, isn't it? You don't do that. How do you understand? What is the right understanding? The possibility of snake coming out of rope is impossible. And yet you see it. Why? That is because of Maya, Mithya, Prakriti. So Maya, Mithya, Prakriti, the potential for non-apprehension, all are used synonymously. All can be used synonymously. Very, very important verse in terms of explaining the creation. The creation and destruction. All this gives you an indication that Brahman is doing something. All this gives an indication as though Brahman is doing something. Even though all this is happening, Arjuna, none of this affects me. That is verse number 9. Let us read verse number 9.
Nachamantani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. Nachamantani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu.
Nor do these acts, O Dhananjaya, bind me, remaining like one unconcerned, unattached to those acts. Krishna is taking the stance of Brahman and talking. Krishna is saying, I am that Brahman. So, nor do these acts bind me. He's not saying bind Brahman. He's saying bind, nor do these acts bind me. Because he is taking the position of Brahman and talking. Therefore, nor do these acts bind me, O Dhananjaya, remaining like one. Remaining like one unconcerned and one unattached. Udasinavat and asaktam. 2 words. What is the cause for creation? My Prakriti is the cause. Then what is the relationship between you and the cause for creation is Prakriti, Brahman. Then what is the connection between Brahman and creation? There has to be a connection, no? What is the connection? There is no connection. I sit udasinavat and asaktam. Udasinavat and asaktam. Udasinavat means like the one unconcerned. Asaktam means unattached. That is why this Udasinavat and Asaktam is given as a spiritual practice. Why it is given as a spiritual practice? Because that is the true nature. That is why in spiritual sadhana, Udasinavat. Vat means not actually Udasina. If you are really Udasina, that is tamas. Udasinavat, like one unconcerned. Beautiful definition. Udasinam, straight away Udasina, it is tamas. No. Udasina vat, like the one who is unconcerned. Like, what is that unconcerned one does? Udasina means there is nothing for you to gain. When will a person become Udasina? Isn't it? Whether it happens, what difference? Udasina. Where there is nothing, one, there is nothing for me to gain. Indifferent, cares for no one, cares for nothing. This is called Udasina. Krishna is saying, I am not Udasina, I am Udasina Vat. Udasina Vat means, don't think of me as Udasina. There is only one part of comparison. That is the first one. What is the point of comparison? We will say, we are going to see now. Then he says, Asaktam. What is Asaktam? Asaktam means, Sakta means Sangha. Asakta means Asanga, not bound. I remain seated like Udasina. And these actions do not bind. Beautiful verse, very important verse. When does action bind? What is the bondage of action? When does action turns into a bondage? First, when you want result in the way that you want. That is called, that is bondage. Second is, even if the results don't come, it's okay, sir. At least somebody should appreciate my effort, no? At least somebody must appreciate what I am doing, no? Correct? Seeking appreciation is the bondage. I'm not wanting result, sir, but why can't people simply appreciate? Can't even acknowledge. People are very blind, sir. Vedanta is very correct. People in the world are blind. Why? Because nobody is appreciating. The third one is classic. What is bondage? You have a weird notion of perfection and you will want to do everything perfectly. So what are the ways in which action binds? What are the ways in which action binds? Wanting to do it perfectly, wanting appreciation, wanting results in the way that you expect, in the way that you put a condition. Udasina means Udasina, to these things you are Udasina. What do you mean by that? Udasina to result. You practice Udasina Vat in relation to the result. You practice Udasina in relation to wanting appreciation. You practice Udasina in relation to wanting to do it. If I do, I will do it perfectly, sir. Otherwise, I won't do. Isn't it? Panna correct perfect illanna save kudadu. Weird notion of perfection also you get. So udasina means udasina to what? Udasina to the result. Udasina to wanting appreciation and perfection. Because that's how I am in relation to the creation. Why? Because that's how I am. Udasina vat. Are you able to follow? None of these bind. Actions bind you only when you have these attachments to action. So udasina means you don't have these attachments to action. That doesn't mean you do it imperfectly. No. That doesn't mean you do actions imperfectly. How do you do action? We have seen it any number of times. The proper way of action, the right way of action is not perfect action. The right way of action, the proper way of action is sincere action. It's sincere, not perfect. Because perfection is an imaginary notion. Perfection is an imaginary state. So how much ever you do, it will still look imperfect only. So you will be attached all the time, you will be attached. And you can go on blaming yourself that you are not doing it rightly, you are not doing it rightly. And others also can constantly keep telling you that you are not doing it rightly, you are not doing it rightly. Why? Because you have this weird note. First bondage of action is perfection. So udasina to what? Raj, are you able to understand? Udasina means udasina in relation to the perfectionist notion behind action. That's how you have to connect it. Oh, Abdinna, he will do it in a very tamasic way. No. He will do it very, very sincerely. It is sincere doing, not perfect doing. It is sincere doing. That's what Krishna says. Look at me. He lived that life. No, whatever he did, he did it so sincerely, he did it. When he went to argue for peace, he argued very sincerely. Now he is arguing for war, and he is doing that also sincerely. Now, how can you do both? That is what sincerity is all about. Because we like to take stances. Either you argue for peace or you argue for war. Sincerely, you can argue for war. Sincerely, you can argue for peace. How can you sincerely argue for both? Because you don't have any specific attachment. Since you don't have any specific attachment, you act according to the situation. And when you act according to the situation, you act sincerely. Are you able to follow? Kunti came to see Krishna 8th day. She visited. And she asked, where is Krishna? He said, no, he has taken the horses to the rivers. He's taken the horses to the rivers. At the end of the day, every day after the war is over, imagine Krishna doing this. He take the horses to the rivers, make them drink, make them scrub, give them a good massage, rests the horses, and then he will come to rest. Because as a charioteer, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to do this. This is sincere. Udasina vat is in relation to, we are udasina to sincerity, but very attached to perfectionism. We do exactly the opposite. We also practice udasina, but we practice exactly the opposite. What? Sincerity, we don't bother. we bother so much about, and people say, I am a perfectionist, sir. I have a fault. And they say it with pride, as though it is something that, what to do, sir? I'm very, my problem is I'm very punctual. People know how to praise themselves very beautifully. Yeah? So what you should be udasina to perfection. Second, udasina to seeking appreciation. I only want appreciation. I don't want anybody to support me. I don't want all that they could recognize is what? You have done so much that they could recognize, no? Udasina to appreciation. Third is udasina to the results. Asaktam, not attached. Why not attached? The light is not attached to the quality of something that which it lightens up. It is unattached. It lights it, but is not connected to the quality that it lights. For unattachment, the another word in some other context that we use is sakshi. All are one and the same. The example that he gives is Nataka Deepa Prakarna, light on the stage. The light on the stage lightens up everything, but unaffected by what happens on the stage. Similarly, Arjuna, O Dhananjaya, all this comes out of me. This Srishti, Laya, this Kalpa and Yugas and Mahayugas and all that keeps coming out of me. It's my Prakriti. I am unattached and unconcerned to my own Prakriti. So previously he says it's because of my Prakriti. Now he is disowning. Now he is claiming detachment from Prakriti also. He said, as long as Prakriti is there, it keeps doing. But what is my connection with it? What is my connection with it? My connection to it is actor on the stage. It's a role that I do. It's a role that I do. Knowing fully well that role means I am not that. Role means I am playing the role. Means what?
I'm not that.
You are not that, obviously. Then only you can play that role. If you are that, then you can't be anything else. Isn't it? If you are that, you can't be anything else. You are playing very many roles means you are not any one of the roles that you play. Are you able to follow? Second, role means time. You enter and you exit. Time. 3. Role means a script. You play according to the script in the time that is given to you, and you get out. That's what role is. Role means a time is given to you, a script is given to you. All that you got to do is what? In the time that is given to you, based on the script that is given to you, act. When you act, how you should act? How you should act? You should act in such a way that others would see it as real. Not you. Remember the difference. When you act, you should act in such a way that everybody around you should believe that you are really in it. Inside of you, what you should understand? You are not in it. Problem is, if you start getting involved in it, it becomes a problem. Are you able to follow? Udasinavat and asanga. Therefore, verse number 9. Nachamam tani karmani nibhagnanti dhananjaya udasinavat sattam teshu karmasu. All these actions are happening I remain unconnected. I enliven the actions and not bound by the action. I enliven it, but not bound. This is verse number 9. With this, we conclude and we continue next week with other verse number 10 onwards. Anything that we have?
Yes, Bhaskar has some. Bharat has posted it. Bharat has posted.
Bharat. Bharat. Reference, oneness and akandam. Why the emphasis on akandam, as akandam emerges from oneness? Okay, in relation to the question, in relation to the properties of, in relation to the proper discussion about Brahman and the comparison of Brahman and space. Two things we said. One is oneness, ekatvam, and another is akandatvam. Question is, why emphasis on akandam, as akandam emerges from oneness? It's a distinct and different angle we are saying, Bharat. Fundamentally, all can be connected to one. But here we are trying to distinguish a specific aspect. What is the specific aspect when we talk about oneness? When we talk about oneness, it means it cannot be, it is just one. When we say it is just one, akandam explains that oneness. You can connect it that way. Are you able to follow? Again, I repeat. Akandam ekatvam means there is only one akasha. For which, what is the example I gave to explain oneness? The example that I gave is, you can have 3 fires, you can have 3 water in 3 vessels, but you can't have 3 spaces. Oneness. Then comes akandam. Akandam means that which cannot be broken. That which cannot be broken. Ekatvam, arupatvam, akandatvam, all are so interconnected. All are one and the same actually. Are you able to follow? It has to be arupam. Then only it can be all pervading. It has to be arupam. Because of arupam only it can be vyapakam. Only because of arupam it can be vyapakam. And because it is arupam and vyapakam, it is ekam. Because it is ekam, it is akandam. Because it is all this, it is asangam. You can, all these are so interconnected, but we talk about it to bring about a clarity in of to bring about a clarity of a specific function. This is answering Bharat. Yes, Venkatachalam.
My question is,
yeah,
to verse 6.
Yes.
And we talked about unmanifest. We talked about only appearance.
Yes.
Again, now we have come back to creation.
Yes.
So there is a change, the shift in
correct
direction.
Yes.
I wanted to know that. My second question is,
yes,
everything is an appearance according to the verses 6. Then who is a waker? Is he again a dreamer, or Brahman himself dreaming?
Yes. Now, to answer the first question, why again creation and all has come? That's why in passing I mentioned in verse number 5, he spoke about Bhuta Brit. He spoke about Bhutas, Bhuta Brit. So now to elaborate that Bhuta Brit, 7 and 8 comes. To elaborate that Bhuta Brit, 7 and 8. But that 7 and 8 and along with Bhuta Brit makes you to believe Brahman is the doer. makes you to... so he wants to negate that in verse number 9 by saying, I am not the doer. If you are not the doer, then who's doing it? Nobody is doing it.
Imagine.
Nobody is doing it because there's nothing. That is one way of seeing at it. That is Raja Guhya. That is what he calls as Raja Guhya, royal secret, which is not understandable. Therefore, what he does, he breaks it down to an understandable level. What is that understandable level? Prakriti. He brings it down to the discussion of Prakriti. And this word Prakriti is a huge word that goes into, there are systems of philosophy that revolves around this word Prakriti. Sankhya has its own meaning of Prakriti. Every system has its own meaning of, because that source, the nature, investigation. So what he says is, it is mithya. Nothing is, there is no yugas, there is no nothing. It is mithya. Now, who is saying this to whom?
Yes.
Who is saying this is mithya? To whom it is being said. Therefore, the moment you bring in mithya, mithyan solliyachina, what should follow mithya? Dakshinamurti and Sanat Kumaras.
Yeah.
After mithya, what you should do? Dakshinamurti, Sanat Kumar. What is Dakshinamurti, Sanat Kumaras? Just stay quiet. Or who is talking to whom? Who is teaching whom? The moment you take that mithya. But then that is Raja Guhya it is.
Okay.
It is Raja Guhya. That is already explained. This is Raja Guhya. It's a royal secret. Royal secret na sonna kuda marachi vekkira secret kediyadu pa idu sonna kuda puriyadungra secret. So secret, there are two. Again, secret is of two. Raj, we know how to do hair split in everything. Eh? So don't think you only know how to do all this. Eh? We also know how to do. Yeah. Secret again, because he thinks he PhD, double PhD, I don't know what he's doing, his third PhD now. So he thinks he knows, he only does all this. Secret doesn't mean Marachi vekkira secret illa. Sonna kuda puriyadundradha inga secret. Raja Guhya means it belongs to the second type of secret. What? How much ever it is told, it will not be understood. So in that sense, it is royal secret. Ordinary secret means you cover it up. The moment it is revealed, it's known. Then what is royal secret? So this mithya is the royal secret. What is Raja Guhyam? This mithyatvam is the royal secret. What is royal knowledge? Aham Brahmasmi is the royal knowledge. Mithyatvam is the royal secret. And how much ever it is told, it will not be understood. Now, he is cooperating with us now. How he is cooperating with us? By breaking it down. How does he break it down? By bringing in Prakriti. Verse number 5. That's why we spend a lot of time in verse number 4 and 5. Verse number 5. Bhuta brahnacha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. Bringing forth and supporting beings. Myself does not dwell in them. That is explained in 7, 8, 9. Are you able to connect?
Yes.
Bhuta brahnacha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. Bringing forth and supporting beings. Myself does not dwell in them. He is repeating it, actually speaking. Actually, he is repeating what is said in verse number 5. But why he repeats this portion? Because this can give you some understanding and take you to the Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya. But then when he is saying it, he clears the misunderstanding that comes with it. What is the misunderstanding? As though he is the doer. As though he is the doer. The answer is, I am doing it, and yet I am not doing it.
Not the creator.
Yes, I am the creator, and yet I am not the creator. I am the doer, and yet I am not the doer. Is the royal knowledge, isn't it? You feel like asking, say it very clearly. Are you the doer, or are you not the doer? Are you the creator? Are you not the creator? Yes
Or no.
No. Yes or no? Classic Vedanta. What?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. That day you can say yes and no. You have started to practice Vedanta. Detachment, you say. What is the way to practice it? Say yes and no. Yes under some circumstances, no under some circumstances. Because you cannot have per se yes, you cannot have per se no. Isn't it? Do you love me? Question. What is the answer? Yes and no. Yes under some circumstances, no under some. Always can't you love? What is this always? There is no such thing called always, correct? There's no such thing. So there's no such thing called always. So do you love? Yes. Always? No. Abdina, do you love me? Or yes and no. Are you able to follow? It's a beautiful, penetrative way of understanding life. Is it okay, Venkatachalam?
Thank you.
Yeah. We continue with verse number 10 onwards in the next. So, once again, sorry. Finished with your clarification? Yes.
Like he asked Ekatvam and Akhandam. And I'm still intrigued with this chapter 2, verse 14, Agama Painaha and Anitya. Because Agama Paina is which come and go. Anitya is impermanent. So they are just more or less the same. But still Krishna used them deliberately.
Yes.
Why did he do that? He could have said.
She went back to chapter 2, beautiful verse. Agama Painaha Anitya. Are they not one and the same?
But he means it differently.
Specific functions. They come and go. They come and go. As they are existing, they are not existing. Two factors. They come and go. Okay, when they come and go, at least you are agreeing that temporarily they are there, no? Correct? Agama Painaha Anityaha Tam Titikshasva Bharata. Beautiful two words. Agama Painaha Anityaha. Agama Painaha means they come and go. Okay, between come, okay, there's an interval between coming, going. In between, there is a period of existence. Correct? Are you able to follow? In between, there is a period of existence. Appa the real dana. Because it is existing for a short period of time. No. What is the answer to that? What is the answer to that? Even in the temporary period of time when it is existing, you should understand that it is not existing. It's beautiful. It takes a lot of manana to do all these words. The snake come and the snake go. Correct? Agama Painaha. The snake come and goes. Anityaha. What is Anityaha? Even as the snake is existing, in reality, there is no snake. That is Anitya. Are you able to follow? Come and go can give you a misunderstanding. What is a misunderstanding? That temporarily
It is existing.
You are accepting the temporary existence. No. He can't even accept the temporary existence also. So he says it is Anityam. Even as you are experiencing it, is it there? The dream comes and goes. As you are experiencing the dream, does dream have an existence? No. Why? Because it is dependent on it is dependent. It is a dependent existence. Existence means that should be there. You wake up, the dream should continue. Correct? You wake up, what happens to the dream? You wake up, what happens to the dream? Gone. Correct? Dream family? Gone. Dream wealth? Gone. Dream appreciation? Gone. Dream abuses? gone. Are you able to follow? Why? Because even when you see it, actually it is not there. So at one level, it comes and goes. Even as you are seeing it, you have to understand that it doesn't exist. It's very two beautiful words, Agama Payinaha and Anitya. Lot of manana is required. They are not synonymous. In this case of Ekatvam, Arupatvam and all, it's all interconnected. In Agama Payinaha and Anityaha, there is a distinct two different things. What are the two different things? One is they come and go. They come and go. Paravala sir. Coming and going in alle, adi irukudun dhaan artham. Correct? They come and go means it is there. No. What is the answer for that? Anityam. Anityam means not coming and going. Anityam means as you are seeing it as real, it's not real. Think about it. You follow? Think about it. Mithya. That's why it's called? That's why it's called Mithya. Seriya? Yes. We continue with verse number 10 onwards in the next.